Greetings, Stasia Bliss, Kundalini Queen. Today's episode on Kundalini is going to be, is sexual energy and Kundalini the same thing? The answer to that is yes and no. So let's get into that and dial it in. So if you remember from the introduction video, and if you haven't watched that, you can go back and watch that. Kundalini is our life force, and it travels along the main channel of the spine. And situated along the spine, I'm sure you've seen the pictures, are chakra points or valves, as we discussed in the last video, of consciousness. Valves that dictate how much life force energy is actually making it to the rest of our body, and how it's adjusting how our consciousness is receiving and interpreting that much life force. So we live in a culture that has been largely working the first two energy centers. So just like human beings have life force energy and a Kundalini channel, the entire collective and the planet also has Kundalini, life force energy, and a culture or a people will be awake to a certain degree. So on the planet and in the West, we've been largely working with first and second chakra issues, which means life force has been trying to move through and open up those first two chakras. So that has to do with our basic survival instincts and money, and our second chakra, ancestral wounds, and sexuality. So if you can see how we've largely been holding energy in those first two, and not always in a healthy, vibrant way, right? So when us as an individual starts to feel a burst of energy, a burst of life force energy, and we aren't really sure how to direct it, we haven't been working with our life force in order to distribute that energy throughout all of the energy centers, sometimes we can just feel that energy pulsing in the first and second chakras, which makes us feel aroused. And it can be just that energy trying to express itself, and we might choose a sexual avenue to do so. But if we understand that that same energy that's getting trapped or stuck in the first two centers can actually continue up and travel through all of the energy centers, allowing us much greater stimulation and orgasmic sensation in our entire body, then we recognize the difference. So yes, Kundalini is sexual energy, but sexual energy is not a full expression of Kundalini. Does that make sense? So though it is the same energy, when it is trapped or stifled or kept just to the first two centers, then we are directing our connection just through our sexual organs. And we're very limited in the way that we can experience that life force energy. Doesn't mean it's not nice and lovely. It just means that it isn't its full potentiality. So the more that we begin to understand and work with this energy, and this will be discussed more fully in a later video on circulating sexual energy and consciousness, so watch for that one. When we begin to work with our life force and we feel that stimulation or that arousal, if we begin to just breathe that up the central column, and we actually begin to visualize that energy rising up the column of the spine and meeting us at the solar plexus, at the heart, feel that same arousal in the throat and in the third eye, all the way to the top of the head and then around the body, we can learn how to distribute this flow, distribute this energy, open these other centers so we can feel a multi-dimensional orgasmic sensation. We can become orgasmic in our whole body, which is way more blissful and way more connecting with another being. It's one thing to connect with someone just at the first and second chakra level, but to be able to connect with someone at every vital center, valve to valve, if you will. It's happening anyway. It's happening anyway, but if you aren't aware of it and you aren't working with it and feeling it, then you're actually limited in what you are experiencing. And there's a whole new horizon that can open to you when you begin to work with this energy. So that is the little dive in today on is sexual energy and Kundalini the same? And we'll go deeper into some of these subjects as we go along in these videos. So thank you for joining me today. This is Stasia Bliss, Kundalini Queen, and we'll see you next time.